Welcome everyone to the 16th episode of Conversations with T. This is T herself, and today's guest is a dietitian who resides in Abu Dhabi. She's very passionate about health and has shared various healthy recipes on her Instagram page. She also offers paid programs which consist of her mentoring people in their weight loss or weight gain journeys, and she also educates her clients about nutrition. These programs are also means for her to help the people in Yemen, as she's originally from there, and Yemen has been going through a humanitarian crisis for a very long time. I'm really excited to have a conversation with her today, and she's none other than Ms. Ghaida AlMatary herself. How have you been?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I love how the both of us share a common interest, which is health. Since you've been very active in the nutrition field for a long time, what would you say are the biggest or most common mistakes that people make when it comes to dieting or weight loss in general?
Actually, a lot of people have struggles with weight gain or weight loss,
Mm,
or actually, they don't know how to maintain a healthy diet throughout their life,
mm,
not just for a particular time or a small time period. So, what we always tell our patients is that to follow a calorie deficit diet, for example, that you eat less and then you burn more.
mm,
This is the most efficient way to maintain a good weight and a healthy lifestyle throughout your year or lifetime,
mhm.
because usually people follow these diets that are very common. Like you can see them on social media or you can see them on TV, but they're not really sufficient. For example, the keto diet or the low carb diet or intermittent fasting. These are ways that help you lose weight, but for a short period of time, not for a long time. You can't really follow a keto diet for the rest of your life.
Mm.
So what we always tell people is that to have a sufficient diet that has carbs, proteins, and fat, and to just burn more and eat less. That's what we always tell our patients.
Mm. I also feel so many people are getting their priorities wrong when it comes to, having a certain weight or physique. I mean, there's so much emphasis being put towards looking good instead of being healthy. Um, a woman, for example, may be underweight, and other people would praise her for being slim or beautiful in inverted commas. But the reality is that being underweight is not healthy. This woman could have a leaner or smaller body shape of sure, but she doesn't exercise and constantly eats junk. Um, Her cholesterol or blood pressure may be super high, but not a lot of attention will be paid towards that because of how she because of how good she currently looks. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, yeah. Well, usually because of especially teen girls, they always try to look perfect. They want to be in shape because, the society has a huge role in this. And also her high school friends and all that, even women in the community, they tend to be very nervous about their weight all the time.
Mm,
So if you're underweight, it doesn't mean that you're healthy. And if you're overweight, it also doesn't mean that you're healthy or unhealthy. That's never really the range. The
mm,
only thing that can truly prove that you're healthy or not is a blood test.
mm,
And um, for example, I know a lot of girls that came to me and they have, for example, PCOS,
mm-hmm.
that are the polycystic ovarian syndrome, and they were very underweight. They were actually like between 50 to 55 kilograms. So
Really?
that's underweight, and you'll be really shocked that she has PCOS or that she has a high blood cholesterol, as you said earlier. So the story behind it is that sometimes you have insulin resistant, or your cholesterol is high. It's not just because of what you eat. It's also because of stress. Stress has a huge role in maintaining your hormones, your blood insulin, your insulin sensitivity in general. So it's never really about the weight or never about the shape, as you said. It's most likely about environment, stress-related problems, and also like wrong or unhealthy lifestyles.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that because Like up until now, I always thought that women who were overweight, they were the only ones who had PCOS, but I was
No,
wrong.
that's actually not true. I've had a patient that was, I remember, I think she was 53 kilograms and
Mhm.
she had PCOS. And then when she did blood tests, I remember her stress hormone, it was very high. She was very stressful in her life. So
Mhm.
I gave her like the kind of diet that has high magnesium, and magnesium really helps you to relax. It helps you to it just like literally it um enlarges your blood vessels so blood can flow easier, and then by this way you actually feel more relaxed, and then you can eat like a healthy diet or a more diet, yeah, like a more diet that helps you maintain a stress-free life, so yeah, it's never really about the weight, especially about PCOS.
Oh,
Yeah.
generally speaking, I feel as though being healthy in today's day and age is a challenge because there's so much processed food available and they're cheaper than organic food, I think. Yeah, believe me, when I went grocery shopping in the US once, I was there for my undergrad. I saw I saw apples being sold at different prices. I mean, imagine that. It's the same, it was the same product,
Of
but
course.
had different price tags, and I found that really strange. Whenever I went to the supermarket, I had this habit of checking the ingredients of food products before I put anything on my cart because I
Mhm.
kid you not when I say that processed or
Mhm.
GMO meals and snacks are rampant in America. Yeah, so many of their food products contain very questionable ingredients such as canola oil, corn syrup, glucose syrup, and soybean oil. Even a
Yeah, they're very unhealthy, by the way.
even a loaf of bread had so many unnecessary ingredients, and that was just ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, usually when you were talking about apples, basically they'll be categorized as organic or non-organic, or maybe it depends on the farm that each apple came from.
Mm.
But about food labels, this is actually a very interesting topic. Sometimes I really like to have rice cakes as snacks. So whenever I buy only a specific brand, but when I see the brands that are next to it, I usually read the food label,
Yeah.
and I get really shocked because it's gonna have coconut oil. Also, there's a trend that coconut oil is actually healthy to have, and it is very, very saturated in fat. We never really eat like coconut oil. The only way we use coconut oil is as a moisturizer, and that's it. You never actually take it. So I'll be really shocked that even rice cakes, they'll have all these unnecessary oils or additives, as you said. So
Mm.
it's actually very scary. You need to read the food labels and also the added sugars. Usually, a product would say sugar free, and then you're gonna feel so happy that you're gonna take this product. But actually, if you read the additives, you're gonna find, for example, added sugars and so many different names. Like the naming that they actually, it takes them a lot of time to think of a name, and then basically when you go back to the to origin, it's actually sugar, or it's worse than sugar.
Mm.
So now when I see a product that has sugar, that says no sugar or sugar free, I personally don't buy that product. I buy a product that is normal, because I know it's gonna have normal sugar, at least not some um, sugar that's made in a way to not look like sugar, but it actually does worse than sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The same could be said about fat-free products, right? Like fat-free yogurt, fat-free milk, etc.
Yes, yes, exactly. Actually, once I was reading about a study that says usually a product that has, it's for example, milk fat that is in milk,
Mm.
uh, it's actually, the study says that it's actually healthier to take this kind of milk than to take a milk that is, for example, skimmed or no fat,
Mm.
because when you remove fat from the milk,
Mm.
it actually, the taste of the milk becomes very, very unacceptable. You technically can't drink it. So what they do is they add a kind of sugar. This is what I was telling you earlier,
Mm.
that helps it be more edible, but it's actually worse than having a whole fat milk, like a normal cow's milk.
Mm.
So this new study, it actually says that if you want to take fat-free milk or normal fat milk, then the best choice is always to take the milk that is normally that has all the products, the carbs and the proteins and the fats,
Mm,
other than taking anything that actually removes something and adds something instead, and they make this whole new thing, and then you'll taste it normal, but it's actually very unhealthy.
mm. I think from a certain point, from a certain perspective, I think it would make sense for people to produce a certain type of milk for those who may be lactose intolerant,
Yeah,
but just to make it taste sweeter, it's
exactly.
misleading, right?
Yeah. The sweetest will always be like an additive or an added sugar that is actually worse than having the normal kind of milk. But for people that are lactose intolerant, of course, they can get the almond milk instead. There are different kinds of milk that have no additives. But the problem is that when you see these kind of milk or dairy products in general, you find that their price is very high usually.
Mm,
So they actually make it nearly impossible for people to drink these kind of products because when you see a normal milk or, for example, normal almond milk, it's actually quite expensive, you know?
mm. What all of us need to be mindful is the fact that just because something tastes good doesn't always mean that it's good for you. Um,
Yes, that's true.
and we, most if not all of us, know that we should eat healthy for our own good, but we still resort to unhealthy snacks and food items. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the average person would pick a Happy Meal over a bowl of salad, for example. Major food brands
Mhm.
such as McDonald's and KFC, they don't really care about our health. They just want our money to go to their pockets as long as they're making huge profits. They really can't be bothered about our well-being. And the thing which I
Exactly.
the thing which I find even more disturbing and appalling is that young children are being targeted to buy their junk. These companies invest huge amounts of money to make these food commercials and even games, so just so that these children become brainwashed into believing that their products are cool or delicious, and they would keep asking their parents to buy them those things. What do you have to say about this matter?
Well, especially in the US, as you were speaking earlier, they always target the young kids and making them feel that eating junk food throughout the day is actually okay. And
Yeah,
you know, the highest percentage of obesity in the world for adolescents and for children is actually in the US.
yeah, I'm not
So,
surprised. I'm not surprised.
yeah, so I don't know. I would tell parents to be very careful and to be aware because usually when an adolescent is obese, you can actually like for example, if a person starts gaining weight after, for example, they're 17, 18, or 19, you can actually it's reversible. You can actually help this patient to lose weight, implement a healthy lifestyle. But when a kid is raised in a wrong environment, especially in the eating habits, and you want to change them when they get older, it's actually very hard because they also have the kind of fat in their body that we call the stubborn fat. For
Mm,
example, this is the kind of fat that you actually grow with. Yeah,
mm,
your fat tissues, they carry this fat from your kid, and then you grow older, and it's still there. So it becomes like a stubborn tissue.
mm,
So these are very hard to deal with. Also, although we'll take this patient and we'll tell them to eat healthy and to do an exercise and all that, but it's their weight loss journey is very low and it's very slow actually.
mm,
So it's always hard when there's a kid and he or she is obese. It actually breaks my heart because I know the process is going to be so slow and they are going to feel very dismotivated to actually continue because they don't see the results, and the parents, they don't see the results. And
mm,
actually, there's a study that says all these kids, the kids that are obese, usually are the ones that undertake surgery when they grow up. For example, the bariatric surgery to cut
so
their stomach or whatever. So it's the ones that were obese since they were kids because the stubborn fat, it always gives them the feeling that you are never going to lose fat, and which is actually true. It's hard to lose fat, but it is doable. You can do it, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of motivation and energy. So usually these patients are the ones that undertake surgery, and it's quite sad. So I'll tell parents to be aware and to raise awareness in their community or in their schools to actually help obese children.
Yeah, I mean, these days I don't think, like, as far as I know, I don't think there's any commercial for children that makes, I don't know, like eating veggies or fruits look like
Mhm.
a cool thing. It's the opposite actually. Eating a burger or a packet of fries is
That's true.
and also these breakfast cereals like Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, and cornflakes. Cornflakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have those when I was younger, but I stopped after I started to learn more about organic foods and GMOs. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the most important thing is to raise awareness, really. And as you said, for commercial brands or companies to change this kind of behavior in their commercials.
Mm. Yeah, like I've been thinking about my personal journey towards leading a healthier lifestyle, and I would say that I didn't really have the best relationship with food for several years because there were moments in my life where when I would starve myself so that I would lose weight, or the other extreme was that I would just eat anything that tasted nice despite them being unhealthy.
Mm.
After I got a reality check after I had this doctor's appointment in 2019. I started eating healthier, cleaner. I avoided things that were high in sugar, and I limited my carbs. And as I um, as I began to lose more weight and I became accustomed to eating healthy, I grew to love it. And at the same time, I also started to get put off whenever I would see high sugar treats or processed meals, which could be in front of me.
Mhm.
So, would you say that you were always conscious about your health and you always eat healthy, or did something happen in your life that led you to become more aware of your dietary choices uh, and you want to start eating healthier?
Yeah, that's really a good question. First of all, I'm proud that you changed your habit, your eating habits,
Thank you.
and it's always better to be a healthier person. And you always feel energized, like
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
have a lot of energy throughout your day. Actually, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful feeling.
And you actually feel happier, you know?
You do. You
Yeah.
do. You know, because all of these food that are high in saturated fats, they do have a direct relation with the hormone that gives you depression. Can you imagine? So
Really?
it does have a related, yeah, it does. So it does have a like a straight relationship to it. And as for me, since I was a teen, maybe I was very interested in health, and I loved healthy food. I loved exercising. Although I was in Yemen and it was nearly impossible to find a good gym to go to because in our society we're not really common to do these kind of things. Unfortunately, but hopefully it will change. But yeah, usually I'll eat healthy food and I'll follow a healthy diet. But of course, every dietitian, I don't know about others, but I'm speaking of myself. I always go through like all these circles, and I do have like I have a burger every once in a while, and I do binge eat every here and there. It's
Oh, yeah.
very normal. Like I'm a normal human being. I undergo all these things. So it's not all like apples and salads and all green and beautiful. No, that's actually not true. I undergo stressful times and I eat
Yeah.
sweets and chocolates and all. It's just I act as a normal human being. You know, it's very normal to be like that. But what a person should do when they feel stressful or when they undergo these bad eating habits, they need to realize that no, I need to hop back in, I need to follow a healthier diet maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is never too late. So yeah,
It's
that's what I tell people. It's fine. It's fine to eat unhealthy sometimes, and it's also fine to eat healthy. We're all humans.
Yeah, I'll tell you something funny. When I started to follow the diet which my doctor had recommended,
Mm.
I I literally quit sugar. I wouldn't
Wow.
let myself have a chocolate bar or ice cream um or even a cookie. This went on for several months until I don't know, I think I started to miss having those sugary treats. So I told myself, okay, just one cheat day per week. So I
Yeah,
so
normal.
I did that, and then after some time, I was like, okay, no, maybe two cheat days per week, and then after that, three cheat days per week.
Oh, okay, it got worse.
Now I still follow that only three cheat days per week. And even during those cheat days, I make sure that I don't binge eat or go overboard. I usually limit myself to having a cup of ice cream after lunch, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't really believe in cheat days.
Oh,
For
really?
example, yes. Well, I do give them to my patients because, like, I feel they feel happy when they see a cheat day. But I personally don't believe in them because you need to, like, every person should build a healthy relationship with food. For example, if today you woke up and you feel like eating chocolate, it's okay to have that piece of chocolate. It won't really ruin your whole healthy dietary habit or whatever you're doing. No, it's actually fine. So if you listen to your body and what your body needs and actually have the food that your body wants, then you won't really feel that, oh, okay, today I'm gonna eat a salad and then tomorrow I'm gonna have that cheat day. You won't feel obligated to follow these like steps and this table that I give to my patient. I actually feel so, like, when I write a table for my patient and I feel it's so hard to follow this, I don't follow this. And I tell them, you don't have to follow it like precisely step by step. No, that's actually not healthy. But
Mm,
what I tell my patients is that, for example, your needs for carb grams are, for example, 90, and for example, 60 protein and 30 fat grams. So
mm,
I actually teach them, for example, one chicken breast that uh, has the shape of your hand. This is gonna have this and this grams of protein and this and this. So when I give when I give the patient the table of the diet, they actually know how to substitute things. For example, if I wrote in like rice, they can change it for pasta, and they know exactly the portions. So this is what makes the tables easy to follow, because
mm.
step by step tables or a lifestyle in general is actually hard to follow. And trust me, if you wake up one day and feel like having an ice cream, just have that ice cream, even if it's not your cheat day, it's okay. But the most important thing is to follow. For example, you need to walk 10K steps per day. You need to go to the gym and do strength training, and you need to, be active. Just move throughout your day,
Mm,
and whatever you eat, trust me, it's gonna be okay, because when you burn more, it's fine. Like,
mm,
all the food that you eat is actually gonna somehow get burned away or all that, so it's actually okay.
mm. Thanks for telling me that. Um,
Yeah.
I have a question though. So since you deal with patients, did you have patients who struggled with an eating disorder such as anorexia, bulimia, or binge eating disorder?
Well, I knew she was my friend actually, so it was such a conflict of interest. It was hard to deal with her because she was my friend.
Mm,
But I remember that she had binge eating disorder. So
mm,
the problem is that she would eat normally, or she would overeat, and then at the end of the day, she would actually try to puke herself, and she'll get it all out, and then she feels okay about it. And this is actually very, very, very wrong and very dangerous. And
mm,
Alhamdulillah, she stopped and she's better now. but you don't know how dangerous that is. And I'm glad you opened this topic because so many girls actually underdo this. And the problem is that when you puke yourself every day or every like twice even a day, your stomach actually has acids that are very, very acidic, like to the point that they reach 2.0 in their acidity.
Mm.
So when you try to puke yourself every day, the sphincter of your stomach it actually gets dilated, and all these acids they come out and they reach your esophagus or your throat. And when that really happens, the cells in our throat, like they are cilia like for example, they look like hair, you know, and they move. So they help us move the food from your mouth to your stomach. Like
Mm.
you know what I mean? So when you undergo these puking series all the time, this acid will actually burn the cells that are all along our throat and our esophagus. So what actually happens is that يعني God forbid when a cell changes from one shape to another, this is a first step of getting cancer. يعني God forbid. So you
That's
don't know how binge eat. Sorry.
sorry, you're saying?
Yeah. So when for example, in biology and in science, when a cell changes from one shape to another, that's the beginning of cancer. Yani, God forbid. So I know, I've read a study that actually says people who binge eat and they tend to puke themselves. They were actually like after 10 years, they were the ones that had throat or esophagus cancer. Yani. So it's such a big deal, and people are not really aware of it, and it's very wrong to do because all these acids that keep coming out of your stomach and into your throat, they actually cause and you know, in our stomach we have the wall
Mm.
that actually protects us from these acids. Subhanallah, it's from God. It's a very thick wall and it helps us to avoid getting burnt in our stomach.
Mm.
So this acid is there only to break down food and nothing else. Like when it goes up your throat, it actually causes so many trouble.
Wow, I mean, this is so scary.
It is.
I knew that binge eating was bad, but I didn't know it could lead to something as dangerous as cancer. Um,
Can you imagine? It's very sad. And a lot of you can actually see studies in PubMed, and they all say that binge eaters, يعني, God forbid, especially if they do it like prolongedly, they actually end up having cancer, which is very sad.
I do you think a lot of people are aware of this? I mean, this is the first time I've heard something like this, and I'm shocked.
I Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people know. I wish they do. And when I explained to my friend all this scenarios and I showed her all these studies, she actually got very scared and she immediately stopped. Alhamdulillah, she stopped. So yeah, there's so many trouble. And being anorexic also, يعني, unfortunately, all these eating disorders, they origin from a psychological disease. You know, it's not just purely food or purely feeling insecure about yourself.
Yeah,
Usually
definitely.
there'll be like a trauma when you were a child or any of that that actually grows with you, and then you have a psychological disorder.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ghaida, thank you so much for joining me today. I had a wonderful time having this fruitful conversation with you. I also learned a lot, so thank you once again. Um,
Thank you.
so I hope the rest of your day goes well and take care. Thank you again for joining me and bye bye.
Okay, thank you. It was so lovely being here today, and you two have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.